The first 5 minutes of a discovery meeting are the most important minutes of that entire conversation, yet 99% of sales reps screw it up. In today's video, I'm sharing some of the biggest mistakes that we're seeing across the board, how reps are kicking off calls the wrong way, and I'm going to share with you guys word for word the agenda I use to kick off my conversations the right way. Thank you for watching this video. Let us know what types of content you want to see in the comment section below. Please like this video, subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, and hit that bell to be notified every Tuesday and Thursday when we post new content on this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Let's get into it. Whether it's the first conversation with a prospect or the seventh conversation that prospect is moving throughout the sales cycle, you as the salesperson are the leader of all of those sales conversations. You're driving the car, you're driving the bus, the prospect is in the back seat, they're a passenger. One of the biggest mistakes salespeople make is they let that passenger in the back seat be a backseat driver. They lose control. They defer to the prospect. The prospect is now driving that call, driving that conversation, leading the conversation. Big mistake. And the biggest reason why this happens is salespeople aren't showing up to the call with a defined agenda. Before I share with you word for word what my agenda is that I kick off every single conversation with, whether it's the first conversation or the seventh conversation, I'm starting it with the same framework, right? We're going to get into that in a minute here. One of the biggest mistakes salespeople make is they spend so much time at the start of calls trying to build rapport. There's actually a negative impact. This actually surprised me. I'm going to link a few of the studies in the description of this video, so definitely check them out. There's actually a negative impact on your sales conversations moving to a next step or moving to close the longer you spend at the start of calls building rapport. So many salespeople will spend the first 5, 10, 15 minutes talking about the weather, asking about weekend plans. This has a negative impact. How I build rapport as a salesperson, I'm spending 1 to 2 minutes building rapport tops, and it's based on the research that I've done on that prospecting company. So let's say, for example, I'm selling to IBM. I know that IBM just acquired a company called Randori a few weeks ago. So how I would start that call to build rapport in the first 1 to 2 minutes, I would say, Francois, just saw that you guys acquired Randori. Curious, how's that going to impact your role? That's how I'm going to build rapport. I'm not talking about the weather, not talking about what are you doing on 4th of July. That's what every other salesperson is doing. It doesn't add any value to the conversation. 1 to 2 minutes talking about that. Then I kick into my agenda. I actually have my agenda for a call that I have in 45 minutes with a prospect. So I have one of these sheets, and I'll put a link to this in the description. I have one of these sheets built out for all my calls, and I read word for word at the start of my calls my agenda, word for word. And I actually let them see that I'm reading. I'm not memorizing. I am reading this word for word because this is the best way to kick off a sales conversation with a defined agenda. So let me read this, how I would read it with a prospect, and then I'm going to break it down line by line. Francois, I have us down for 60 minutes. How are you on time? Any hard stops that I should be aware of? Awesome. I'll make sure we wrap up before the top of the hour. Here is what we were looking to accomplish in the next 60 minutes or so. Of course, want to get your buy-in and feedback towards this game plan. It's important before I hop into the demo portal that we first get a good understanding on how you're managing your devices today, your challenges around that, and what you're looking to accomplish here. That way, when I share out my screen and pop open the demo portal, that part of the conversation is better tailored to your use cases and what you're looking to accomplish with this project. By the end of the conversation, I'd like us to be in a position where you're either interested and we plan the next step, or you're not interested, you let me know so we avoid wasting time. So that's what we were looking to accomplish in the next 60 minutes or so, Francois. Jason and I were super flexible. This is your time. What would you like to add to that agenda to make sure it's a productive use of the time today? I read that word for word. So in 45 minutes, I'm going to read that word for word to kick off my conversation. after I spend 1 to 2 minutes building a report based on the research that I did. So let's break that down. First line, I have us down for 60 minutes. How are you on time? Any hard stops that I should be aware of? Confirming the time. There's 60 minutes on the calendar, but maybe something changed and they had a meeting that got pushed up and they only have 30 to 45 minutes to have a conversation. I need to know that at the start of the call so I can better execute the conversation. Awesome. Here's what we're looking to accomplish in the next 60 minutes. So I'm telling them this is what we're going to do. Of course, want to get your buy-in and feedback towards this game plan. Always want to get buy-in and feedback, whether we're adding something to the agenda or subtracting something from the agenda, because it's their time, it's their meeting. It's important before I hop into the demo portal that we first get a good understanding on how you're managing your devices today, your challenges around that, and what you're looking to accomplish here with the project. That way, when I share out my screen and pop open the demo portal, that part of the conversation is better tailored to what you're looking for. So most of my conversations are set up. First half of the conversation is going to be discovery to figure out what they're looking for. Second half of the conversation is demo, where I'm demoing the product that I sell. I'm establishing that I need to ask them some questions to understand their situation before we get into the product. So when I do show the product, it's not a high-level overview, a hardware tour of the product. It is tailored to their needs. So I'm establishing at the start that I'm going to be asking you some questions. Super important. Now, this is the most important part of my agenda. No other salespeople, really not a lot of salespeople outside of professionals, do this. Talk about next steps at the agenda at the start of your call. These are the possible outcomes. By the end of the conversation, I'd like you to be in a position where you're either interested and we plan the next step, or you're not interested, you let me know so we avoid wasting time. So we're not leaving this call without either scheduling the next step, or if we're not scheduling the next step, I'm taking you out of my pipeline. I'm not calling you, not contacting you because you're not interested. The upfront contract is so important. The most important piece of this entire agenda is the upfront contract. Start incorporating that language within your agenda today, and you're going to have better success getting next steps, progressing your deals throughout the sales cycle, because we're talking about next steps at the start of the call. That's what I was looking to accomplish in the next 60 minutes or so. I'm super flexible. This is your time. What would you like to add or subtract to that agenda to make sure it's a productive use of the time? So I'm simply getting their buy-in, getting them, and it's actually better if they disagree with your agenda. And that's actually better than agreeing. So I'm always trying to get them to disagree with the agenda. It means they're really built or bought into this sales conversation. That is the agenda that I'm reading on a daily basis when I'm meeting with prospects. This is the first discovery call agenda that I read every single day. Again, I'm reading it word for word. If you guys want this agenda that I use and you could tweak it for your use, shoot me an email. My email will be in the description of this video. But again, the first 5 minutes are so important. I have 3 sales coaches that I work with on a weekly basis. What they see across the board, I mentioned this in a previous video on, I think, research and planning the call, is most salespeople are not researching, they're not planning, and they're not coming to the call with a defined game plan, agenda, and upfront contract. If you do this at the start of the call, you're setting yourself up for success. You're going to have a really good conversation. You're going to ask the questions you need to ask, gather the information, demo the product based on their issues, and move into next steps if it makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, move on, take them out of pipeline. You're not wasting time. There you have it, guys. That is the agenda that I use word for word. Hopefully you got value from it. Do you see this being helpful at all? Let me know in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified on a weekly basis when we post new content on this channel. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you.